What about trapping? For those of us who know nothing about it, I mean, what sort of a life is it? Is it hard business? Is it an
Yes,
unpleasant business?
yes, it is. Uh, Long hours, cold weather, skinning these animals, yuck. Uh, I think the thing that sort of made it attractive was uh, it was a gamble. You know, you never knew whether you were going to go out and catch two or three mink or none at all. It was gambling in a way that made it. There's always that going to be that rainbow or that gold mine at the end of the rainbow. Of course, there wasn't.
But could it be a reasonable living?
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yes, it was probably better than just working on a ranch for $1 a day.
And as you said, it gave him complete independence, really.
Yes, absolutely.
What about skill? How much skill is involved in doing this?
Well, just like anything else, I guess he lived and learned, and talked to and listened to people along the way who did know something about it, some of whom we've already discussed at a different time.
Well, I mean, that is an interesting question, though. How much did he learn from and have contact with native people up there?
He had a great deal of contact with native people. Exactly how much he learned or how he applied what he learned, I have no idea.
He recounts this incident fairly early on when he'd acquired the trapping rights and he found some Indians who were actually trapping on his rights.
Yes.
Can you tell me what happened?
Yes, there were probably about 3 natives, I guess. I wasn't there, but it was during my era. And these natives had been trapping there for years. And they'd go through and this lake, that lake, trap all the muskrats they could, and then move on. They did this on a lake that encompassed my father's trapping rights, and he saw them, knew what they were going to do, so he went around and he picked up all their traps, muskrats and all, and he waited for them to come back, which he did. He was waiting for them with their traps and their muskrats, and he explained to them how things have changed and what the rules were, and they weren't supposed to come back. And then he gave them their traps and their muskrats back. The end of that problem. They never bothered us again. They just didn't know any better.
But according to the book, your mother observed this and remarked that no other white man would have treated them so well.
Well, that was her interpretation of it. I wouldn't say no other white man would have done as well. I think possibly most people would have went out of their way to explain circumstances. You know, nobody ever pulled out a gun and defended their trapping rights in that manner.
Now, he wrote about the natives in the book, but he also wrote about them in other articles he wrote, didn't he?
Yes. Yes, he wrote about a fellow who I will call Redstone Johnny. Actually, I guess his name was Graham Bush. And this was a fairly successful native. He raised cattle, and at that time had some of the finest horses in the country, and he also lived off the land. A hunter, a trapper, and my dad credits him with teaching him just about anything he knew. He may have elaborated a little bit on it, but I could remember this fellow well, and I believe it.
And he wrote about the man's life.
Yes, he did. Yeah, this was for outdoor life, and he painted a pretty glowing picture of Redstone. And by today's standards, he did a stupid thing. He called it the whitest man I've ever met. He thought he was paying a compliment. Of course, in today's terms, it would be a racist remark, you know.
But what do you make of that article?
I think it was one of his best.
Why?
Because it was basically 100% true. I mean, most articles and things had to be embellished a little bit. This particular story you're relating to sort of didn't just relate an incident. It sort of painted a picture of the way things were between, say, my father and Redstone, and probably encompassed a lot of the attitudes felt by many people in those days. Of course, now it's different. Those days aren't here anymore.